I'm
I
excited.
love it.
Okay. Guys, what's up, man? This is Chris Eryx, Flex the Truth. What's up, Flexies? Hey, if this is your first time watching Flex the Truth podcast, first of all, welcome. You are in for an unbelievable podcast. And I know I say that all the time, and and I always try to outdo each podcast because I always want to raise the bar, right? You never want to lower the bar. It doesn't make sense, right? Unless you're working out. You want to lower the bar, right? But then you want to raise it. Anywho, I met this gentleman in Anaheim, California. I knew about him. I watched him afar. Loved him. Loved his dry sense of humor, almost like that Seinfeldish sarcasm. Oh my gosh, like Andrew Dice Clayish, but clean. But he's so blunt and he's so on point. It's one thing to be sarcastic and to have that, sense of humor. It's another to really know what you're talking about. He's a great researcher like myself. He's a great digger. But beyond all of that, I spent 2 days with this guy. Literally, he was right next to me. And I watched him and I watched him. And I had conversation after conversation with him. And let me tell you something. This guy is going to be a very close friend of mine. Him and I are going to do a lot of things together. I believe that he's going to be a regular on my show, whether it's once a week or once a month. But you're going to see how we connected like that. And sometimes people connect and sometimes people don't. But the ones that connect, you saw me with Mike Adams and how we connect and we finish each other's sides. And Eric Napute, this is going to be fired. This is going to be like, I had people from, Patriot Street Fighters tell me when he went on that show, you got to get Dan. You got to get Dan. You and Dan together. Oh my gosh, it'd be unbelievable. And so I thought about it. I talked to Ron Partain, who I'm good friends with. And he kept saying, you got to get Dan. You got to get Dan. And I was like, well, I want you and Dan, And so that's not the case. But man, are you guys in store. And what a show. So I want to get myself out of the way. I want to bring him up. It's Dan on the Fringe. Dan, are you there?
Yes, sir. I am. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm blessed and deserved, brother. I'm so excited.
Your accolades are just so kind. That was without a doubt when you and I had a chance to talk, and it was. I don't know. It's funny. It's just the way chemistry works in life, and sometimes you just know when you meet somebody that you vibe with. And we had great conversations. And even it's funny, as Ron Partain and I were just talking about how really this is kind of his little superpower, if you will, is finding the right people to bring together. And so I don't know, we're starting some sort of fantastic 5 or 10 or 50. I don't know how big it gets, but we're starting a movement, folks.
Yeah. And listen, people told me like you and Dan got to get together, and I was like, really? And I was like, okay. But I want to bring something up, and I always look at beyond the curtain, right? And he talked to every person that recognized him. He took pictures. We were just talking about signing autographs. He's like, I don't even know how to sign an autograph. I mean, this guy is so down to earth, like he was born on it. Like he, you know what I mean? Like that's how down to earth he is like he never even came and fell from the sky. And this guy is a people's people. Like, Dan, that's what I would call you, is a people's people. You're like me, where you're there, you're taking pictures, you're eating with them, you're breaking.
It's funny, it's like there are times where I joke, and I don't mean this in a bad way, it's going to sound like it, but I'll say I hate people, and that is that larger sort of the sheeple version of that. But individuals, I love, like I worked at a coffee shop for years. I just loved the one-on-one interaction. Like, I'm going to make your day great by this cup of coffee. Like, that's my job. That's my job in your world. And I literally just took pride in trying to be that way with people. And, I think we all are trying to do our thing. I think this is a time in history where we're almost being thrust up onto the stage, almost unwittingly. It's like, wow, all right, fine, I'll do this, and I think it is starting to make a difference. We're starting to see numbers. I mean, you were just talking about a video you shared with me, and you could probably describe it better than I can, but I watched it. It was friggin' awesome. And you were a major component, and it's already gotten over 1 million views, and it's talking about Q and all this. It's opening people's minds up to the truth, which might even dovetail into our bigger discussion. But
that's right.
Your video, I don't know if you wanted to talk about it, but
great segue.
Awesome.
I love that, Dan. Great segue. And for you guys, I'm gonna put it on. I just want to give you a heads up. So we are not going live. We're not allowed to go live until the 9th of August. I did a phenomenal podcast within the Matrix with my buddies Jeff and Shady. We had 3,300 views in less than a week, and they decided to just take us down. They said we talked about COVID-19. We didn't, but whatever. I'm gonna appeal it. I know what they're gonna say. It's my first strike, so I can't put this until the 9th. That's okay. I've got several recordings that I'm gonna do. I have Dan, I have Mary from the other night, and I'll have others. So that's okay. And I'm gonna have Jeff and Shady on again.
I used to have a channel too. Just so you know, I got my third strike. They actually gave me the second and third, like bam, bam. It's like,
bam,
whoa.
Bam. Oh yeah.
What was funny though is after I got my third, by the way, not to go off topic here, it was like maybe 3-4 weeks after my third strike, they just destroyed my channel. I got an email on that email chain saying, we've dropped one of your videos because it broke some sort of thing. And I'm like, you deleted my channel. What are you talking about? How do you still have my videos to get mad at me for?
At 100%.
We'd shut you down again if we could. Damn it! It's like
but you're over the target. Like you know what I mean? Like when that happens, you're over the target, and they're afraid. They don't want this. They don't want us talking. They don't want to look. If they weren't hiding anything, they would let us talk about anything. You know what I mean? It's like when when you're cheating on somebody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
and you're all of a sudden you're like, no, what do you mean? What are you saying? Her?
What are you talking about?
Yeah,
what do you mean,
you're all super defensive, hyper defensive.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Look, if you got nothing to hide, be forthright.
God, they're out of their minds right now. These people are just out of their minds with I think they know. I mean, it's so severe, the cheating, that it's like, if you find even a little, if you pull off, like just sweep off a small crumb, it's going to be a boulder that falls out. It's just like insane how much it is.
Well,
like you said, looking behind the curtain.
And speaking of, did you hear Wisconsin just threw out 204,000 ballots right off the roll, just from go. Like
they're like, these were voted on cheese. What the hell? That's not even real paper. Yeah, I hate when that happens.
Exactly. So 204,000 ballots.
Would you read off the top of your head? No, but I don't. What the state difference was for Trump to Biden? Was it like 27 or something crazy? Like 200,000+ votes is way more than enough times, like 10 or something.
Yeah. It was very close at Wisconsin.
Yeah, they're fighting this with everything they've got. They're trying to initiate all sorts of crazy laws right now and restrictions and lock. It's funny as the vaccines are starting to recycle back. I mean, the virus is starting to kind of recycle back around. And so it's just getting a little wild and crazy again.
It's all the false flags, Dan. They're gonna, look at Greenville, California. Okay, that is an energy weapon.
Yeah.
That is an energy weapon.
For sure. And the directed DEWs, right? The directed energy weapons. There is so much information, just literally where you see cars melted. That
Dollar General is still standing, but everything else around it's burning.
There's trees and everything around, but the cars are just melted, like a laser beam just shot down the road. And there's been a few weird photos. Have you seen too, where it looks like you see a beam come down almost?
Oh yeah. Turkey, same thing. They have 107 fires in Turkey. Now Greece is on fire.
Greece is the word.
Greece is I knew it. Greece
I had to. They're crazy. And then we've got people. It's a time, it's a place, it's a motion. And this is why we got along when we met, because him and I, we don't care. Yeah, you're the one I want. All right, we're gonna do a whole trio next time we record together.
Grease lightning, go Grease light. I never did Grease lightning in my life. I don't know.
No, I tried out for it, but I didn't get the part I wanted, so I was a little bummed. Whatever. We digressed a little, but no, there's some severe weather stuff, and I don't want to go that way, but you know what I mean. There's a lot of severe stuff going on. There's technologies that are directly involved. I mean, you look at the different harps, there's like 12 or 13 or a bunch of those around the, huh?
Gwen?
No. Yeah, right. Exactly.
Like when? Gwen?
There's so much. There's so much. So do you want to talk about a couple, because you and I sort of had a little chit chat where we thought right now, one of the most important things is to move forward together as a group of people. Almost, I don't know if people have seen the video. It's fun to look it up, how to start a movement. If you haven't seen the video, it's like 3 minutes that you will want to watch it again and again. But that's kind of what's happening right now. And these numbers are growing. I mean, evidenced in your video on YouTube that you were in, 1 million views. I mean, people are watching it probably based off of what it's talking about. So the question I really had is, from our platforms, and since we're doing a video and reaching a lot of people, what would be like the, I don't know, 5 truths that you would start with, right? Because there's a lot of crazy stuff. The moon, like you talked about, I'm totally there with you. And but would that be the first one? I don't know. Like, so I kind of wonder sometimes. And that's where and he hasn't told me what his are, but he had a couple, I have a couple, maybe we'll back into a fifth one.
So this is going to be, things that we've been lied to and that we actually found out the truth about. So we're going to do top 5. I didn't even write it down, but I know in my head, because I've had this conversation with a friend of mine like 2 years ago in his pool, and it ended up into an intervention.
Nice. You were there to help.
After, I don't believe we were on the moon. Like, what? What are you talking about? Mother Teresa was the biggest, child trafficker. What? Like, okay, we need to do an intervention with Chris because something's wrong with him. Yeah.
And that's where obviously being outspoken and knowing a lot of this, or being awoken for any length of time, you've maybe to some degree just said, I just don't bring it up. I know when and who is the right people. And if they're curious, I'll talk about it. Otherwise, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. I'm not going to waste time. Right. But I like that about you, though, by the way. And that's something I'm a little more timid than you. And it's really being bold. Yeah. It was one of the things that you really kind of hit in my face with you. Like, and I didn't mean in any sort of outlandish way, but just you kept saying it. You said it a few times. And I'm like, the way you are, though, and just you nail it. And I love that. I love the fact that you're like, I'm standing in front of everybody and I want you to see me. I want you to see what I recognize, what I represent. And so, yeah, I was like, shoot, what would be the thing that, you would say, all right, first off.
Yeah.
What would you say?
So Dan, what do you think? Let's start with 5 for you.
Oh, I was hoping you'd do 2 and I'd do 2. Okay. We might do a third one.
All right. So for me, okay, this is going to blow people.
Because I figured we might talk about these a little. We'll see.
This is going to blow people's minds because Dan, as far as I know, I am the only person that covered this as a podcaster.
Okay. All right.
I'm nervous. I went live on January 20th of this year. It's a little hint, Dan. You know what happened on January 20th?
Wait, no, what happened on February 20th?
January 20th.
Yeah, I remember what happened then. Yeah, that was a dark day. I mean, being someone that was talking about all this stuff a little bit prior to that, not much.
January 20th.
Oh.
That was January 6th. January 20th. I believe it was January 20th.
Wasn't that the day he was sworn in?
Nope. Well, yeah. But it's the day, drum roll.
I don't really do that well, but sound effect.
JFK died.
Oh. No way. I did. Yeah. Wow. I didn't know that. I'm really bad with history and dates and crap because I don't like them, but that is significant. Now, I'm very into numbers and yes. And patterns.
Here's what's ironic. So I'm sitting there eating sushi. And my buddy says in the beginning of the conversation, like you and I have had, hey, Chris, did you hear? He's like, do you think that JFK is still alive? I go, oh, yeah. He's like, not JFK Jr., JFK right. Sr.
Well, once daddy dies, yeah, Junior's no longer technically, right? I've heard.
Technically, yeah. Right. So I'm like, well, there were some whispers amongst the Anons, but we really didn't have any proof. Haha. Sitting there eating sushi, boom. Don't you know the end of our dinner I get a text from a journalist in Spain. JFK just died, 103 years old, of a stroke. Elvis Presley, Michael Jackson, Pompeo, Melania, all of them will be there with 97, I think it's 97 military to Florida the next day for the funeral. Now, hold on. I go live. People are like, no way, no way. Okay. The next day, which I have proof, if you need it, I will show it to you. Who sends a tweet? Donald Trump, Melania, Pompeo. You know what it says? R.I.P. J.K.
No way. No way. Okay. Wow. Yeah, that so he would have had a double. I think they've had that technology for a long time, maybe, or at least someone that looked like him.
Well,
and he probably knew that was
they must
probably got a win.
Knew what was now. I went back, Dan, because I'm a good digger and researcher like you, which we really got to get together, do stuff. Yeah, but there's really no concrete proof of his autopsy, like the pictures. The pictures do not look like him.
No, yeah, there's a lot of, and by the way, it's funny you're bringing this whole thing up too, because I mean, I don't know necessarily some of these parts. This is pretty awesome, but this was actually my awakening thing. And it was way back when I think the first movie came out with like Kevin Costner or whatever the hell, like I watched and I was like, wait. Like, and I already kind of had my distrust, if you will, of authority, but this was a very like, government agencies, like straight up, like I kind of was one of those. No, I trust, woohoo. Like, why would they lie to us?
President.
Yeah, and no, yeah, they no, and that was, and then when you dug into it and found out how much he was involved in and trying to take down the deep state as well, and then you're like, oh, and the CIA,
and here's the thing that people don't know, Dan. Yes, it was about the gold standard. And going back to the gold standard, yes, it was about cloning. He did not want cloning.
Yeah.
Do you know what the biggest reason was?
No, I'm dying. You're killing me. I wish I did. I'm looking bad.
And when I say it, it's going to be like Memento. There's going to be.
I'm on the edge of my seat, just like you guys are. Just so you know, I'm just like you. All right, I'm ready.
He broke away from the Illuminati to become.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, we've seen a lot. I'm surprised he didn't get hung on a doorknob if you think about it, but it had to be public because people loved him.
Right.
But yeah, Prince, I think, falls into that. There's there's a lot of information going on around that whole thing. So but you think he was one of the first maybe to take down some of these networks, huh?
Yeah. Yep. And so he wanted to become Christian. He wanted to break away because every president is part of the Illuminati. Sorry, guys. Even Trump
going way the hell back anyway. Like Trump, there might have been a couple good ones at some point.
Lincoln was a Freemason. Go all the way back to our forefathers. They were all Freemasons, and so he wanted to break away and he wanted to become Christian. They were like, oh, no way, ain't gonna happen. And between that, the gold standard and the club, they were like, we got to get rid of this dude. He's not our puppet no more.
And that's, well, I mean, it's funny. 4 of the DC cops have been killed. Or sorry, they suicided themselves somehow.
Killed themselves.
Yeah, because it was so like hardcore, like the experience they went through. That after surviving it, they were just so wrought with confusion. I don't have any clue how that story works in real life, but yeah, that's a bunch of crap. It's obviously these people were exed. What's the 180 something? What's the number?
86.
187? 6. There you go.
Yep.
86 for sure.
So, so that for me is one. The other is right there. It ties into JFK, cloning.
Well, let's go back one step though. One question I would have about the JFK thing is of a lot of the crazy stuff that we know, or we certainly question about our history and certainly our current time. Why is it that the JFK is significant enough to you to make your list of at least your top 2?
Well, because here's why. In most people's opinions, he was the greatest president. That's number one. Number two, we all assumed that he was dead and that he was assassinated. And so for him to not be assassinated, to fake his death like JFK Jr. and others, Lady
like they might have
Di
been good
and
at
others, right? So for him to fake his death, and remember, Trump's favorite president was who? JFK.
Yeah.
His best friend in New York was who? JFK Jr. So I believe Trump and JFK Jr. plotted this for over 20 years and knew, and I have a video too, if you want to see it, of Trump hugging JFK at I don't know, it was like a celebration of JFK, and where he stood up and they all, you see Trump hugging him and everything. And I truly believe in my heart, in my gut, that the Clintons and all them, they're not with us anymore, but they found out. Like they knew before their demise, man, JFK's alive, especially Bush, Poppy. Before he got the lethal, I'm sure they told him JFK is alive, so is JFK.
Those families, the Clintons, the Bushes, like these, oh my God, these guys are just a mess.
Yeah.
And the poor Kennedys too. And by the way, I guess I always dug them because to my understanding, they kind of made their money during the Prohibition. I think they're part of all that booze running and stuff, which my grandpa, by the way, used to, when he was younger, and he was under 16, he was like 14 or something. He used to drive cross state lines with booze in the car.
Really?
Dude, I was just like, Grandpa, I love you, man. So whatever the case is, I know it's criminal. That's not right. You shouldn't do it. But for some reason, I felt a little pride knowing that we're rubbing elbows with the we're right on the edge.
Kennedys, Dan, is an Illuminati name.
For sure. Well, so that's what I'm kind of wondering, because what it comes down to, if you're going to pull something off like this, and people don't understand what keeping a secret actually means.
Yes.
That is something that only very adept people, I think. I mean, you've got to be able to not care what others think, not have an ego, really. You need to understand how important it is that information is secret. That is something that most of us be like, oh my God, you know what I just heard? It's literally just put down the phone and you're going to tell everybody you know.
Well, look at the oath of the Freemasons.
Yeah.
They'll rip your friggin' tongue out. That's why when you see this,
right?
It means shut your mouth or you're going to get your tongue ripped out.
Right.
And then, part of their ritual in the Freemasons is that they go around, right? And they're blindfolded. And one guy's like, oh, tell me. And he's like, no. And the last person ends up killing him because he divulged the information.
There's a lot of information. I've skull and bone stuff that I've dug up over the time. Yeah, there's some of those rituals that they go through, the trusting factor, whether you graduate to certain levels and skip past the 33rd or get to some sort of alternate 33rd Mason thing. There's just a lot of things that I think a lot of people don't understand. And you're like, how could something like this be kept secret? It's so huge. It's like, all right, so secret societies have been around for a very long time, and they are very adamant about maintaining secrecy, and they will kill you if you break that. That's just how that works. You make one mistake and then they'll spin the story. You're already dead, so it doesn't matter. They control it and then others that were watching that are like, oh crap, don't do what Johnny did. What are you going to do?
Look at Deshaun Watson. Okay. Texas quarterback.
Oh yeah.
Look at all of a sudden now, right? He was glamorized. They loved him. NFL loved him. All of a sudden, he's got sexual molestation. Boom, like that. Now, here's the thing, Dan. They control the media. Remember that.
Yep. Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, they
control the media. Look at Tiger Woods. Do you think you think all of a sudden Tiger Woods got exposed out of the blue because he got caught cheating? Nah.
No, I mean, obviously not. These things they're the way you control people. You let them have their free reign, and then all of a sudden you make a big deal out of it if they break breaks. And I would assume they can oftentimes give him warnings. So who knows what his warnings might have been,
right?
But he obviously didn't care or thought he was above that. And I think that happens with a lot of people when they become very wealthy, is you tend to elevate yourself above everybody else around you because you're the wealthiest man in the room.
Well,
And
we
sometimes
think, I wanted to be an actor, and
you are an actor.
thanks. I wanted to be an actor, knowing what I know now, that they're not free, that they literally are puppets. When I think of Pinocchio, I think of actors and actresses and entertainers. I think of Hollywood as Pinocchio, right? And I think that they're not free. Yeah, they have all the money and everything in the world, but they have given up their soul and their freedom. And they have to do what they tell them to do.
Have you heard any of the Crossroads? This conspiracy, we'll just call it that and label it, whatever, doesn't matter. Have you the Crossroads stuff with the guys that die at 27 and they pick up the dude at the crossroads and he hops in the car and all of a sudden he's like, like all of a sudden they're like the most gifted guitarist ever, or whatever.
Yeah, he couldn't play the guitar worth shit, and then all of a sudden he came back out of nowhere and he's jamming like no other.
Well, who the hell are you? Yeah, I mean that's the thing, and it's very interesting. And then they died in interesting ways. And again, people don't understand the spiritual side of reality. I mean, that's going to tie into my questions a little bit. It's kind of why I'm doing it. But I mean, it's, in my opinion, it's very true. There is a good and evil component. And a lot of these people that are successful in Hollywood and crap like that have sold their souls to the devil, quite literally.
Yeah. And Dan, when I got the list of, all the people, I mean, some of them I was blown away, like John Bon Jovi. I mean, I remember seeing John Bon Jovi in Jersey, like on the Jersey Shore in a dive bar. He had two ears pierced. I walked in. This is because this was before he was famous. And I had just started dancing. I was like, oh my gosh, he's got two ears pierced. I love it. And I went the next day and got my ear pierced.
Nice.
And, to find out that he sold his soul to the devil. I mean, there's some people there that I was just totally blown away. Even Bruce Springsteen, and he's French. He's one of the payers. He's beyond the Rockefellers and the rock.
Dude, he's like 114 and he's still out there like, I don't know how he does it. So
it's called cloned.
I'm assuming something
25 times, 30 times.
It's probably hard to clone that like neck vein of his when he's like, when he's like screaming out his notes.
As the vein coming out.
Yeah, he's like burned out like 16 sets of vocal cords. They just keep replacing them.
And the second one for me, where I get the most scrutiny, but where I get the most attention, where people perk their ears up when I speak, cloning. And for me, Dan, I go back 4 years ago now, when I was in Anon, and I remember sitting right where I'm at, right here in my studio, my basement, and looking it up. And I remember Gene Decode, who I'm going to have on my show here real soon.
Nice. Can't wait to watch that.
With him. Yeah, I'll introduce you to him. You'll love it.
That'd be awesome.
And, he taught me about cloning, but I remember the grills. And I remember going to sleep and going, oh my gosh. Like, I remember watching this TV show. I remember them, the proboscis going in the eye, and I'm like, oh my, am I walking around these people? And then as I did more research and more research and more research, do you know there's only one person that ever answered this question correct?
Oh.
It's actually Jim Dowd's wife, Lisa. I'm going to give her a shout out.
Yeah, give her a shout out. She deserved it.
Because this is an incredible question. And if you don't know the answer, when you hear the answer, you're going to be, again, memento, things are going to come and you're going to go, boom, 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 boom. And it's going to start to click and make sense. Okay, ready?
Yeah, I hope. I'm so nervous.
Why did they get rid of hydroxychloroquine so fast,
Easy.
so abruptly?
I think.
Okay.
Well, it's the only way to get the emergency thing for the FDA so they could actually jack us with that needle, right? To force it, basically, by not having a way to treat the disease is the only way they could get around, or they thought anyways, getting around our rights.
Okay. That's a good answer. That is
Nice.
Are you sitting down?
I tried, guys. Gave it my best.
Dan, you want to call a friend?
Yeah, I'm too late. I should have. Can I reduce? What's that 50% one? What was that choice? Do I have that option available?
Yeah, call your clone from 2 years ago.
Oh, crud. I'll go back to the future.
So, all right.
How many
I don't
gigawatts
want
is
to
it?
lose anybody on this, so I'm going to go
All right.
real slow. You can look all this up if you want. Okay, and here we go. The reason that they got rid of it so quickly, so abruptly, why they destroyed, if you remember, the number 2 producer of hydroxychloroquine.
Yeah, they burnt the place down or whatever.
Yeah, right. Warehouse is because, ready?
Yeah.
It would kill them.
It would kill them?
Yes. No, listen. When that vril is inside of it, that it's a parasite. It is a demonic parasite. Okay. It's called
their kryptonite.
toxoplasmosis. Pregnant women know what that is because when they're pregnant, they're not allowed to be around kitty litter. Or when you're in the jungle or where you're in infested waters, right? When the water is tainted and you drink it, you get toxoplasmosis. Hydroxychloroquine would cure that. You follow me?
Yeah, it's an antiparasitic. So yeah, totally makes sense.
So if I have that vril inside of me and I have that parasite and I take hydroxy, it kills that parasite. And if I'm taking it, I could never get cloned.
How come? That I haven't heard. I mean,
because you have that.
Oh, you don't have the thing in there that's basically keeping a copy of you. Oh,
correct. So if you have
that makes sense.
Chloroquine in you, it when that parasite would go in you, it would die immediately.
Is it a actual 3D thing, or do you think it's a sort of higher dimensional kind of parasitic thing, or what do you? Or both, maybe.
It actually goes in. I could show you. It goes right in underneath your eye. There's a proboscis, goes under your eye, wraps around the back of your head.
None of this is okay. Oh my God. Oh my God.
And then for about 30 days or so, here comes the zombie. All that person does is eat and goes to sleep. Because what it does is it eats the soul. Then that's where you
siphons your energy, basically.
Eyes.
Yeah,
that's where you get black eyes from.
I'm going to say a weird term that I don't know if you're familiar with, but it's David Wilcock. But loosh, the loosh idea, is that kind of where that comes in, where it feeds that little thing? Okay. All right, that's kind of what I'm saying. From, and again, everybody, it's just there's a lot of information. I'm always just trying to take it all in and see if I can connect the dots.
Now connect this
right, wrong, and different is not beside the point. This is very interesting though. I love this.
How about the Black Eye Club?
Yeah, all that. So I honestly think there was a big shit. Maybe weapons, but I thought there was probably a big shipment of that maybe on that Evergiven thing too, maybe.
So the Black Eye Club is the ones that got the chip or either the chip or the vril.
Oh, so that's the eye that gets blacked out. It's not so so it's not in relation to the P word stuff?
Nope.
No shizzle.
Nope. It's totally different. You ever see entertainers go like this?
Yeah, and I do it a lot, unfortunately, and I feel bad about it because somehow it's a bad thing. But to me, it meant peace usually.
Right. We thought it meant peace.
Yeah, that's how I use it. That's what I mean by it, anyways. But yeah,
it's called what is it? Society. So
what is it?
Have a vril in them. They go like this. Vril Society.
Is there like anything weird like that, maybe, or no?
What?
Where they drop it down or something? I feel like I've seen that sign before, and I don't know if that's okay.
That's totally different. It means vril, and then what happens is they're cloned. So they could be cloned literally one an hour.
Yeah, I've heard the process is actually very accelerated. Yeah, I mean, what it actually is versus some of the stories I've heard. I'll be honest, some of the stories I've heard are really hard to believe that they can grow you from like nothing, basically. And in some cases, there's an Altered Carbon, by the way. It was a great series on Netflix.
Yes.
I don't have Netflix anymore, but I actually, that was an amazing concept that really sort of sells what I think is sort of true, kind of.
And then look at, if you go back, people are saying Jennifer Aniston doesn't look the same. The Kardashians don't look the same because Tom Brady don't look the same. Come on.
Dude, Joe Biden's ear is different. And some people are like, no, that just changes with time. It's like, no, it doesn't.
No, your ears, look at Eminem.
They grow, but they stay attached.
Total different human being.
Yeah.
It's because he's cloned.
That's probably so. I mean, from a secret or from a truth standpoint, better even than JFK, in my opinion. I'm glad we ended up to it, and we're just all sorts of truths. By the way, we used this as guiding stones for us because him and I had no idea where the hell we were going to zigzag to.
Right,
but we are zigzagging. But yes, no, that I totally lost train of thought. Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
we're rocking
cloning.
And the cloning thing. Yeah.
The cloning. Here's the crazy thing. Michael Jackson was one of the first entertainers ever cloned, and he goes by Davey Dave, and was on the what the hell? What's his name? Larry, the old guy, the suspended.
Oh, Larry, the guy from Seinfeld, whatever.
No, Larry. What's his name?
Cable guy.
No, the guy with the glasses, the talk show.
Oh.
Suspenders.
Yeah.
He goes by Davey Dave, and his disguise, you ready for this, is a burnt victim.
Oh, that's just all sorts of wrong. So you make me want to ask the crazy question. Do you think it might have been, the whole thing that Michael Jackson was involved with? I guess there's this part of me that wants to believe he actually was a good guy that was so heavily abused in his childhood. Yeah, I didn't think so. So do you think maybe some of his clones might have done some stuff? Or do you think it was just the way they were trying to take him down because they didn't like him owning the Beatles collection, amongst other things?
He owned half of Sony.
Oh, dude, he was brilliant. And the way he did his money, he was brilliant.
He owned half of Sony. He was leaving.
They hated
Sony.
his ass, man.
Oh, they hate Tony wanted to kill him.
Yeah.
Because he
kept beating
it as the biggest free agent and owned half of Sony Music. That's why they took him down. Yeah. That is why, and that is the only reason. Now,
go ahead.
When you talk about clones, doing something, this is going to blow your mind. Do you remember the Mike Tyson molestation?
A younger girl or something, I think, if I remember correctly.
That was his clone. He was found across the other United States.
He's like, I'll be back, Michael.
Yeah. And they showed him on camera.
Oh my goodness.
Being at this one place, but yet he was there. That was his clone.
Yeah. I don't know if you like your audience, if they're what, but this stuff is
my audience
heavy.
Is used to it. Yeah.
Nice.
They like this.
Nice. Yeah. It's crazy the way this is, though. I mean, people, I don't think most people have no idea how much crazy stuff. I mean, you get into the underground tunnels, the hypertube system. I mean, there's so much freaking craziness out there. That went back. That was actually one of the big ones. Dulce for me. There was a big crazy story around Dulce, New Mexico back in the 80s.
Oh yeah.
And that was just, oh man, there was like all vats with parts in it, and there was aliens walking around with humans. And they didn't get along very well. And oh, dude, it was such a fantastic story. We got Area 51s all over there. I mean, so much stuff. And not to mention, by the way, all the nuclear weapons that we've tested, what those do, and there's some larger dimensional damages they do, if you will.
Time travel.
Yeah, there's so much crazy stuff that has gone on in that part of our country that people, I mean, it's just a huge area you can't go to. I mean, they will kill you if you keep trying, right? Like, they'll scare you, and if you keep going, they're like, no. And if they figure out who you are and they know that nobody's going to miss you, you're probably toast. They're probably going to bring you in and hook you in a vat.
Now, why? What are they hiding?
So this is, we're just going to go there. I think that's what's going on with Antarctica. I I honestly think, I'll be honest, I'm just going to say the crazy out loud. So I apologize to your listeners, but I think Antarctica is Atlantis. And
So do
after
I.
Atlantis,
So
I
do
think,
I. So do I, brother.
yeah, and there's
So do
a
I.
grip
I
of
said it.
technology on that continent, man.
I think they are protecting. I think there are aliens underneath.
Oh, for
I
sure.
think
There's
they're
aliens or
protecting.
ships. You've seen the little Millennium
Yup.
Falcon picture
Yup.
thing, right? Yeah,
Yup.
there's some crazy ass stuff going on there.
I agree.
And supposedly part of what's happening right now in history is there's sort of a defrosting going on, and people are starting to notice, and they're going and drilling in and finding these
Why?
caverns in the
All of
actual
a sudden,
land.
now they're finding stuff.
Yeah, it's like finally defrosting, and so we've got the deep state that's been trying to make it sound like there's this weather catastrophe, but this is God's plan, and it's not going to get crazy hot, but it's going to be more water on this planet than there once was. But the
Yes.
continents, supposedly, to my understanding, there's going to be some compensations, or the more water creates more weight, so it might make the oceans a little deeper. Whatever the case is, for the most part, we should be fine. We'll see.
Why were they always going? Why was Soros and Clinton and why were they always going to
the Pope,
Antarctica?
the Black Pope, the Russian Pope? They all
Why?
went down there at the same damn
Why?
time, folks.
Why?
They must have had a live being that they were communicating with, where they brought in the heads of the world.
Mhm.
I mean, the spiritual leaders in one place at one time. I mean, the Black Pope too.
Yeah.
That's it was on anyway.
No, I'm with you. Dan, me and you, I mean, I called it. I said it on my podcast, so you're not.
Yeah, and you and I have never mentioned this before, but yeah, this has been my theory with it forever. Everyone's like, where'd it go? Did it just sink? And it's like, no, but there's little bits of road where it broke away or whatever. But no,
and it froze over it, and I believe the aliens are protecting it.
Oh, for sure. The woolly mammoths had food in their mouths still when they flash froze, dude. I mean, yeah, something very catastrophic. By the way, I don't know if you ever talk about this, but the magnetic fields of the planet, I don't know if the poles have been moving like mad for the last like 100 years, and over the most recent time, they're moving miles per year. Our poles are doing crazy stuff. The Earth's magnetic field is going through a moment. We are living through a change easily of biblical proportions. I'm sure there was a dude that built a giant boat last time this happened. I think we're doing it a little different this time, but yeah.
I agree.
Dude, I love the fact that we found each other. All right, so you had a second truth. I think we should finally meander to that. Meander to the it made me think of meander to the dander, but that's probably wrong. I'm sure.
You
should never say that in public.
I believe the other one. For
vaccines, maybe?
No. My other one is the children.
Oh,
the adrenochrome with the children.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm telling you now. I did this event this weekend, and I'm just going to broadcast this now because I don't care. And it was with Matt Osborne from Our, Underground Railroad. And it was all about child trafficking and human trafficking. And we had conversation after conversation. And when Jim Caviezel talked about it, we were in Tulsa, Oklahoma, because he was supposed to be there. I had told Matt. Jim was supposed to be there in Tim Ballard, and they couldn't make it. So we streamed them. We had Caviezel stream. When he talked about achrome, I fell to my knees, because it was the first time that somebody of that stature had talked about this. I have talked about it. I have said, people have told me I'm crazy and I'm losing oxygen to my brain because of the pneumonia in my hair and the bleach in my hair, and I'm a tinfoil hat and I'm nuts. And
well, it's only when you're doing streaks, right? Or whatever that you do.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, when I talked about this 2-3 years ago, Dan, you could hear a pin drop. Now it's starting to really get out. And now people are starting to really go, okay, wait a second.
They were blatant about it, putting it in that movie, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas or whatever.
Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Here's another one. You ready for this?
Yeah.
This is where they did it real sneaky. Ready?
Okay.
American Beauty.
Oh, that was a trippy movie, and he is one of the deepest, darkest.
He is a pedophile.
He's a bad man.
Remember the cheerleader with the roses? So rose petals is code for acro. Madonna, when she was on house arrest, talked about sending roses. Oprah Winfrey talked about sending roses. Ellen DeGeneres, they all talked about roses, sending roses. Okay,
that whole thing that went down. I mean, the way they shut down their whole trade, the way they, and you saw a whole bunch of celebrities that aged like 50 years in like a week.
In days.
Yeah, it was a trip.
You know why? This is what I believe. Trump tainted the batch of achrome in Wuhan. And they knew Tom Hanks was going to get it. So Tom was the drug dealer from Hollywood. He was the achrome dealer. David Spade says it. He's like, look, if Tom Hanks can make it through this, we can make it through this. But if he can't, I'm going up in my bedroom, and he had it, you know what I mean? He did a shotgun.
Yeah.
He's been blowing himself away. So it was Tom Hanks distributing it to everybody. And when you think about Tom Hanks, oh man, I'm getting fired up. When you think about him in all the movies and where he started out, he was telling us who he was. Bosom buddies. Yeah. A guy dressed up as a woman.
Bummed me out so bad to find out he was the dirtiest of, like, I mean, because I liked him so much growing up,
Mr.
dude.
Rogers, pedophile.
Yep. Oh yeah, for sure.
Castaway. Do you know the handprint? That was that was achrome. That was blood. The handprint, Mr. Wilson.
Oh, because
Ellen DeGeneres wore it on her sweatshirt.
It's so, and the thing is, it's like, it's not necessarily something anyone really wants to go, like, being aware that it's happening. I don't know, but I'll ask you, I guess, because I think digging in has got its merit, but it is so horrific when you start going down some of those rabbit holes and you start paying attention to what they actually do and what they need to do. The way it's taken out, the way there's torture. I mean, it's so freaking horrific. They children have like age brackets where they figure they're not going to live any longer than that anyway. Like it is beyond evil, dude. Like people, no one can be that bad. It's like there's this side of population that is truly evil, and I think actually enjoys that kind of crazy maniacal sort of stuff.
Police, judges, CYS, hospitals. Look, Dallas, listen to this. Dallas Hospital is number 2 in the country in human trafficking.
Yes, you're really.
They have to now take a course on human trafficking.
What, how to get better at it? Or are they, I mean, are they outwardly admitting it now? Or are they?
The nurses have to take it so they're aware of it.
And they can hopefully catch it.
In the country.
Wow.
That is, and it's mandatory for them to get to renew.
So what are they pushing? Like pushing carts down the aisle, and there's just like dude in a body bag, and you see legs get there. He's like, no, he's dead. No, he's just twitching. Don't worry. Like, how do they? Oh my Lord, dude, that is just
look at how many times a child's gone missing, or we've had misidentity of a child. Look, man, they take them and they go, and then when you have CYS, when you have the judge, look, I got a 4-year-old. I'll tell you right now, you want to break your heart? I got a 4-year-old boy. His name is Andrick from Massachusetts. His dad has been sexually trafficking him. His mother went through the court system and they ruled in favor of the father, gave him full custody. The boy comes home and says, Mom, I don't want to go to those curtain shows anymore. Curtain shows.
Yeah.
Now, and he's taking his clothes off and he's dancing around. Where there's smoke, there's fire. That is a child trafficking ring right there in Massachusetts. And so, when we think that it's not going on in our own backyard, I was in Central PA and I sat there and said, it's going on right here in Central PA.
Dude, there was that crazy place where they had the girl living in the friggin' shed, like for years, like, right in people's neighborhoods, and nobody friggin' knew. Like, yeah.
Look at Disney employees just got busted. Hello. Yeah. I've been saying it about Disney. The biggest child trafficking in the United States.
I'd love to know the real numbers for how many kids actually go missing in that park, or my park too, because I know there's underground. You see people pop out of trees and shit. I mean, it is out of control. The security.
They come out of the tunnel.
I've actually heard, and I don't know if it's true or not, that they're actually almost a foreign entity. That they actually, like, at least out here, they own enough of Anaheim that there's some sort of weird deal that was made with like Switzerland or so. Really? I don't know. It's some rabbit hole I ended up down one time, but but
think about it.
I think that ties into a lot of that.
Think about this. They have
their own police and shit,
TFR over them. They're the only amusement park that has a TFR around them over them.
That's true. Yeah, it's true. I mean, you're not allowed. That was some of the stuff that they were citing is like, it's its own little thing. And it was like, wow. And I've been to that park a bunch of times, and there's a part of me that's like, that's possible. That's very, and then you just don't hear about what happens there. What happens there stays there.
Could you imagine, like, you have a little kid and like, oh, would you like to go see Mickey Mouse? Let's go down. Boom. Gone.
Yeah. Like, where'd my kid go? He's gone. Mickey Mouse just got him. It's going down.
That is the lure for children. We always thought it was some guy in a white van, giving candy to a kid. That was the farthest thing from the truth. It was people like Disneyland and CYS.
Well, they put it right in front of you, like in their movies when they're putting like phallic symbols, and it is amazing how much crap they put into their movies that is just not child appropriate by any means.
Now, I brought that up in my podcast. People were like, I knew Disney was bad, but Chris, I didn't know they were that evil. Like evil. Like, it's one thing to be bad. It's another just to be pure evil. I want to do a thing about Hollywood and Disney and how they became, what they are today.
When you look at things historically too, you start to realize how the wealthy, like the bankers and all that stuff, they started hundreds of years ago. And then the other people, like they started like Disney, how far ago they started, and they were already part of the deep state then. And just, they amassed they've just amassed trillions of dollars. It's insane how much money is involved. I mean, when Donald Rumsfeld, like 20 years ago, remember that? He's like 20 years ago, he's like, there's something like $6 trillion is missing. It was like, and it's way more now. So I don't know where all this money goes. I would guess these deep state buggers are getting it, and probably is paid for separate military. To be honest with you, I've heard there's a sort of a deep state fleet. I don't know how big it is. At least a sub. Well, it used to be. Used to be.
For his money. It's for his money. The drugs. That's why. Listen, why do you
all that black money?
Exactly. Why were we the most hated? I used to say when I was younger, why does every country hate the United States? Like, we're like the good guy. No, we were the bully on the block.
We were the jerkholes. Like, they hated us.
Power, oil, or money.
Well, the perfect example is they treated our military much like Pelosi and Biden and Jen Psaki, like the way that they talk down to us and they look down their noses. Yeah. That is how they use the military with other countries. This is how they think. You don't matter. They didn't care a crap about you. They're certainly not giving this billions of dollars of vaccine to you to save your life. None of this stuff is happening the way they say it. It's just a bunch of hooey.
No. So what's your truths? I gave you
yours are really, really good. Mine are kind of a little more weird, but I'm going to go with them. So the one thing I think is really important that people understand, and it's being heavily used against us. And I think if more people understood the reality of how our thoughts, if you will, to simplify it greatly, are very creative. Prayer is kind of an example of that. But when people, and you find successful people for sure, when they focus their thoughts and energy in a given direction, or in trying to find truth, or in trying to help people, or in trying to expose some, like when they put their energy towards that, all of these doors start to open up in regard to that. It's kind of, I think, how sort of God wants us to move towards our given direction. And I think a lot of people, they'll watch negative news, they'll watch people telling them they have no power, and they start to believe it. They start to actually have those same thoughts. And I feel, in all honesty, that there's a great deal of harm that we do to ourselves. We're taking away that kind of that power that we have, which sort of ties into my second one a little bit. But it's important that we control what we think about, that we control the information that we regurgitate or get. There's a lot of bad information that comes in, and so we've just that's, I mean, it in a nutshell. I know it's kind of crazy.
No, I love it. Okay, what's your other?
My other one is we are basically sovereign beings. And when we give that away, because, and it kind of tied again into the thoughts, but when we give our rights, our freedom away because someone says you have to, who cares what someone says? You're a sovereign being. What do you think? What does it matter to you? And then in which case, what's your opinion? And then that's good for you. Like, I don't have to agree with your opinion, but you are your own little sovereign floating bubble of matter and love. And that's kind of, I think, in a nutshell, I are two truths that I wish more people understood, that they could actually affect themselves, their lives, and the world a lot more through some of this.
I have a simple one, but one that'll hit you right between the eyes.
I'm ready, I think. I mean, I've got eye protection on, so you watch out, buddy. I'm ready for you.
Ready for this?
I'm ready for it. I think so.
We never, ever had freedom.
Oh, yeah. No, for sure.
We were sold the illusion
Social security number
of having freedom.
Yeah. From
birth, you are a product of the United States of America Limited Corporation. I have your social security number. You get 300 and what is it? I think it's $333 or $330,000 for your birth certificate, because they believe that's how much money you're going to make in a lifetime. You don't get that money. You never see that money. They get that money.
By the way, that's all the printing press money too. That's what their printing is based off of us, our backs, our labor, our taxation, essentially. And I think that's probably why they're trying to up that dollar amount, because they figure if they can raise taxes, if they all of a sudden they've just quadrupled their piggy bank.
Absolutely. And then, going with that, bullshit about paying taxes in the IRS. Kiss my ass.
Yeah.
It's illegal. It's absolutely illegal. And that's going with the freedom, and then the other thing is, look where we're living now. I don't even have a freedom of speech. We used to talk about countries.
We are exactly what we hate. That's
right.
us.
We are. Remember the Yankees? Remember, like in the 80s, like the Steinbrenner era, like they would win and win and win. And everybody hated the Yankees.
Yeah, no one could touch them. I mean, they were just,
because they won. And here's what people didn't know. Do you know George Steinbrenner put out his own money? It wasn't, cable and advertise at first. It was his own money in the early 70s and 80s. And he built a dynasty. But my point being is,
probably made a crap ton of money doing it that way too.
Absolutely. And listen, do you know who became the Yankees?
No.
The Red Sox.
Oh.
Because
I got a buddy from there, man. He tells me it's one of the most corrupt towns. He's like, I grew up there, man. That cool accent.
They hated the Yankees.
Yeah, they did.
But they became
like with a passion.
The Yankees.
He's so stoked now because the Sox have been doing pretty good lately. So I keep hearing about it. He's always wearing his hat. So I'm like, oh, they do good last night. Anyway, it just cracks me up.
They became the Empire. So we, Dan, became what we hated. So when you say we have freedom, no, we don't have freedom of speech. I can't say whatever I want. I got to say face diapers. I can't say the M word.
Right.
I got to say the ouchie Fauci. I can't say what it is. Right. Now, that's insane. But you're telling me I have freedom? I have freedom to say what I want?
Well, and then they throw the whole it's a private company thing. And it's just this funny, weird circular logic. Like, I mean, from my standpoint, I ended up having to go to other platforms because it's either A, I'm going to talk about what I'm going to talk about, or B, I'm going to be tap dancing around eggshells everywhere. And I just said, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to commit to these other places and just grow it there. And whoever finds me. And And, considering everything and how small the audience is, relatively speaking, it's funny how much I've managed to grow and create a footprint in a place that hardly anyone was. And now a lot of people are starting to go. And yeah, it's just part of the change. And I think
I want
that's
to
where,
get you on Cloud Hub too.
yeah.
I met the owner, Jeff,
Mhm.
and I want to get you on with them.
That'd be
You're
awesome.
gonna help me out, so I want to help you as well. So what's another truth you have?
Well, shoot.
Fire away, fire away.
From the standpoint of where we're going, I think it's very important that people understand like perspective of this evil group of people. I mean, we've talked about how there's, the JFK. I mean, there's been all sorts of stuff that I don't even want to say because God knows who will get offended by it. But what is really important to understand is this is who we're up against right now. This is the experience we're having. We need to understand what they're doing, what they're capable of, how they don't care about us, how they've literally killed leaders of ours in front of us. We need to understand that is who this group is. And it's, I think, more important from a standpoint of like looking forward and giving people like not hope, because I mean, it is sort of, I think, but like an understanding of what it is we're going towards. Like it's that thing up there and that's where we're heading. And yeah, it's that crazy ass storm. Yeah, that is where we're going. And we can't change it. We can't stop it. You need to understand that there's some larger things at work, that they're going to lie to you every single step of the way, that they're going to try to take your power and control away from you through the advertising, the propaganda, the media, like the fear, the stuff that, like you said, they're going to try to feed that little being inside of us, if we have it, maybe. So that whole thing, yeah, I think that's going to be key in us saving ourselves going forward. And I think that's more than looking back. I'd rather like, we gotta get through what the heck's ahead. Like grab an oar and start paddling because it's getting crazy.
The other truth, for me would have to be, and I always, as a Christian of 17 years I've been saved, I heard and listened in the Bible, spiritual war, spiritual war, spiritual war. Never in a million thoughts that have ever come across this head that I just fire away all day, right? I'm sure you do too. Did I ever think that I would be in this spiritual warfare? And to understand, because we're told with the comfort gospel that these pastors have been selling us, okay, that, oh, the devil's not here yet. Meanwhile, the devil's run amok and runs this world, right? And so for me to understand that we're in a spiritual warfare, we are in a war of the minds, of literally getting people's minds to what you said, Dan. This really connects, with what you were saying, that we're going there, right? And that, we're a sovereign being, right? Is that to understand that, and you said it, there's evil and there's good, but you could be sitting by your next door neighbor. You could be in church with one of a Satanist right next to you. I mean, it's that cut and dry where we are right now. I had a best friend for 2 years that when I came back from DC, the 5th and 6th, I got rid of him because he went against me in DC, and he went against me with a ex-follower in my podcast, who I believed was had a demon inside of her.
Yeah.
And so
I've met some people like that.
Oh yeah. And for me, a little bit about me, I can expose and expel demons. I can smell them. When I meet them, I know right away. I get a feeling, even get a vision. And so him and I had a conversation. We actually talked about porn. And I said, listen, I said, I believe that your eternal salvation has been held up because of the porn and you telling sexual jokes in front of me. And, that's not cool. Right. And I told you that. And he's like, well, it's only a little bit. And I said, do you hear yourself? Like, you're sitting here, like telling you, you're trying to sell yourself. I said, let me tell you something. If I made brownies and I said, there's a secret ingredient in these brownies, but you know what? I just want you to eat a couple and then I'll tell you.
Yeah.
And then you go, Chris, these are phenomenal. I got to have the recipe. And I go, yeah, well, the secret ingredient is just like a thumbnail or a pinky nail of dog poop. But it's only a little bit. It's only a little bit. You're going to be throwing up. You're going to be sick to your stomach. And I had this conversation with him. And I knew at that time that he was the enemy. And so we have a lot of people in our lives. We have family members. We have friends. We have neighbors. We've tried to red pill them. Dan brought up, I love it. He said, it's not a red pill anymore. It's a red suppository.
Red suppository. It's going in the other end now, folks. It does not feel as good going down or up.
Right. Yeah. Nice and dry. So for me, Dan, getting hit by two demons, and, we'll talk about that later, but for me to experience it and go through it and see the evil versus the light, wow, man. I never thought that was true.
And it's amazing too how a lot of people will tell you, they'll tell you your experience is this, that, or the other thing, and it's like you didn't go through it. So yeah, that's your filter, your understanding. That's how you're taking it, but that's not what I went through. And it kind of dovetails into this. I think is really important for a lot of people to understand. I don't know if it's the truth or not, but I mean, we're probably getting low on time here, anyways. But the fact that there's a lot of us that are a little bit different, and we're all kind of looking at the truth from a slightly different angle or perspective. And I think that's what makes this awesome. There's a lot of people that maybe are bumping heads a little too much, maybe, because I'm not saying that's anything here. I'm just saying this is in the circle, if you will. Right. There are some people that are, I think, bumping heads because maybe they want to be right or somebody else is more right or whatever. It doesn't matter. And, that's part of this journey for all of us, is learning how to deal with this. But I think ultimately we're all coming at this from our own little angle. We're all trying our best to help. I don't think any of us knows for sure what's going on, as much as some people may claim. There's no phone calls that we're, oh, hang on. They're calling right now. I'm sorry. Right. That's not how this works.
You don't have intel. You don't have intel when Trump's come back in it. Oh, you don't have intel like everybody else.
I'm not. I'm sorry. I didn't get the email. It's not. I wasn't on Hillary's server. I don't know. I don't know. But I just think it's so important that people understand that, one, we're fallible. I think that's the other thing that's weird. I mean, movie stars and stuff probably get used to having people idolize or not. And I'm not saying that's happening, but just becoming famous kind of has its own little weird set of reality that you don't know until you suddenly have people asking for your friggin' autograph. And you're like, I don't even know how to sign Dan radio style. I got to learn. I got to practice that, because it's, so it's just, sometimes you're not ready for things. And I think that's part of this growth too, is some people are getting stuck up onto a stage, maybe to learn some lessons before they're really ready to do what they're here to do. So
yeah, I love that, Dan. And you know what I say to that, just to piggyback on that, have a conversation like you and I. Have a discussion, because here's where it becomes fun, is that if you're open-minded, but if you're open-hearted, where's my heart? Here it is.
Yeah.
Up here, right?
I think that's key, by the way.
Yeah. If you're open-hearted and know that, the person that you're speaking with, here's the great thing. You don't have to agree with them. Yeah. You can agree to disagree, but that does not mean you have to be angry or you don't have to love them. You should learn to learn from others. Right? Yeah. I always say, what can I learn from this person? What can I take away, from this podcast, or what can I take away from this interview, or what can I take away from this conversation?
Yeah. Why did it happen? Why did God maybe place this conversation in front of me? There's got to be something there That's
There's
worth it.
no such thing as a coincidence.
I agree.
There's only God.
No accidents. Yeah.
We call them
Yeah.
Godcidences. And, we talked about it. Katy Perry's father, literally, I blinked my eye and like, he was just like beaming like right at my table. I was like, what the hell?
That was like, that was one of the coolest moments. And then when you told me who he was, I was like, oh, okay. It's like everything made sense all of a sudden. But yeah, it was super cool to see him. And I don't know his story, so I don't want to assume anything. But I know Katy Perry does a lot of the high stuff.
He's a pastor. His email is still like 777@gmail. Told me to stay in touch with him. Told me that he's going to give my shirts and book, to Katy Perry, and she'll blow it up. So, here's my thought is that's great because I'm going to get to millions of people.
Dude, reach.
Again, that's what I'm after is eternal lives.
Nice.
I'm after eternal lives. I'm after people's, not their life now, but their eternal life. In other words, their life after and after that and after that.
That's what I'm here for too. This was planned all along, and I've been aware that I'm here for this reason. And when Trump happened, at first I didn't vote for him or anything. I didn't necessarily like him. I'm like, he's just a rich dude. Like, I didn't really think anything of it. But when I started to see him getting attacked by everybody, I'm like, oh, this is the dude. Holy crap, it's now. Okay.
Dan, I never saw that. Like, I've seen presidents where they mock them.
Never. Nothing close to that. They hated him. I'm like, this guy literally is going against the establishment.
The media, I remember when he, 2016 was like fake news. I was like, he's calling the news fake news. Like, wow, he's got balls. Like, who is this? Like,
you're a billionaire, but come on, man. Really? Like, you're going to be dead. There's no way.
He was in my MLM ACN before he was president. And, I saw him in New York and, at a Starbucks, and he's people's people. Like, he'll come
I've heard he's just cool as hell. I heard he's just a great guy.
Just great guy, talk to you,
but he does not like to be people that go against him. He does not like that at all. And he's patient. He's the perfect, make the deal or whatever that book was he did. He's very good at what he does. He is very good and is very gifted. His family, you go back to the Nikolai Tesla and all that stuff. There's a rabbit hole and a half.
Coincidence?
No, that has to be tied together. And I'm sure they were tight with like Howard Hughes and stuff. I think he was one of the more white hat type dudes. So all this stuff. And maybe this is something we might have to continue on in our next conversation. Dude, this was awesome talking with you, bro.
Yeah, I hope hour and a half. we're sitting there hour and a half. It's like,
well, we shot the breeze for 20 minutes before we even started recording.
Oh yeah. And that's what happens. And, flexies and, and the reason I call them flexies, Dan, is because I didn't want to call them followers. It was too cultish.
Yeah.
Totally. So somebody that's going to have a ministry, you don't want to be cultish. Like, that's not a good thing.
Yeah, that FBI showed up and that didn't go well back in Waco, if I remember correctly.
Right, David Koresh, right?
Yeah, yes.
So we did a voting and they came up with flexies, but flexies, this is what it's about. It's going out and you guys get to see the people that I network, the people that I meet. Phenomenal people. And it's just me being myself, me going out there, talking to people, seeing who I resonate with. Look, not everybody, I'm going to resonate with. Dan's not going to resonate with. Yeah,
for sure.
But we're going to find the people.
My stepmom's not happy with me right now. I'll tell you that much.
Who?
My stepmom. She's not happy with me at all right now. Sorry about not resonating with people. She is number one on the list. We're not resonating very well.
So Dan, I'll tell you something. I think I told you this. So my birth name, I'm a Freemason.
Oh, no way. Nice.
How crazy is that? So my ancestors were Freemasons. The German name is Brownstone.
Oh.
You cannot get any more Mason than that.
Yeah, that's pretty, and a specific kind of stone, apparently.
Right. And my dad, I remember my dad telling me, when I had the Eryx name, for Chippendales, he's like, What are you ashamed of your name? You go in Germany, that's royalty. That's like Bose and BMW. Yeah, I'm sure it is.
Doesn't put tips in the thing, though. You know what I'm saying? Come on. Just telling you.
Come on, Dad. Like, yeah.
That was, by the way, it's odd you say that, but I felt like when I told my dad that because he was like, I'm noticing you're not doing videos on your other channel anymore. What's going on? And I'm like, give me another month to see what's up, and then I'll tell you. So I finally told him, and I call him up, and I'm like, Dad, I just want to let you know. And I said, I think it's going to be disappointing for you. It's probably the equivalent of basically finding out, like, I wanted to be an actor my whole life, and I'm a porn star now, right? Like, I've made my dream come true, but not something you can brag about to anybody. Like, you can't tell the neighbors, oh, yeah, no, my son's doing it. He just made his next porn. It's really good. So, yeah, it's kind of like I'm talking about the thing you guys hate passionately.
So that's so funny because my mom wanted me to be on Wall Street so bad. Okay. This is a crazy story. So I go to Solomon Brothers. We all heard of Solomon Brothers, right? So you got to take the test and everything. So take the test. Well, I interview with the VP or whatever. I'm young. I'm 17, right? I'm literally coming out of high school, right? And it's my senior year. And so the guy's in there. I've never even listened, Dan. This is the first time ever I talked about this in my podcast. So I'm sitting there and he's like, so are you into like white imported candy? Well, my aunt had a candy store. So I was like, yeah, I love candy.
I guess they were talking booger sugar. Is that the
booger sugar?
Yeah.
And then he goes, well, turn around, make yourself comfortable. And he had all these magazines.
Wow.
And he's like, I'm going to give you the answers to the test. I'm going to take care of you and everything. So I went home, scurried home. I was like, that's not for me, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, when I became a dancer at Chippendale, as a matter of fact, when I was on, I think it was on Maury or Montel Williams in a Fox Theater, my mom was at some shop or something. I think she was getting her hair done. And the women like, oh, I think I saw Christopher on TV the other day. My mom's
showing his junk.
My mom's like, no.
Yeah, that would probably
no way.
I'd assume like it's like a dad with a daughter, right? And he's like, yeah, your daughter's a stripper. It's like, oh.
My mom's
so
like,
bad.
No, not Chris. He's working on Wall Street as an accountant at Solomon Brothers.
Yeah, he's taking a suit and tie off, just like one felt move, and he's suddenly down in a pair of, leopard G-string or something.
Bow, chick the bow. But my mom was so embarrassed, yet she's blatantly lying to these. We saw him. We know that was him.
They're like that.
Long hair.
Yeah, you kind of, and I'm sure you've probably had maybe a distinct look about you for.
Oh yeah.
Have you always been like huge, like buff?
Nah.
Like you popped out of your mom with like one shoulder at a time.
I was like 180, 185 as a Chippendale, but I had long hair, like fat.
Oh, okay.
Yellow, blonde. I believe it's not butter.
Did you do the accent to the
oh,
ladies?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So Maury, so the producer came to Chippendales in New York. I met her and stuff. We're talking. She's like, executive producer, Maury, would love to have you on. So we're talking. She's like, man, you look like Fabio. I was like, oh, okay. I've heard that.
Thanks, I guess.
Yeah. So she calls.
You're like,
Fabio.
what do you mean?
Yeah, like, what do you mean?
I mean, it's not.
What do you mean? So then, as I'm riding on my horse.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, with your shirts all blowing open. You're like, what? I don't know.
The fan blowing on me. She goes, we're going to do a lookalike, Fabio lookalike. And we're going to set it up so you win and stuff. I was like, all right, great. They call Fabio. Yeah, they call Fabio. Hey, Fabio, like to have you on Maury Povich. We're going to do Fabio lookalike. What do you mean? Nobody looks like Fabio.
I might have saw that episode. I seriously might have saw that episode, and that was you.
Yeah, it was me.
No way, dude. That was like a number of years ago. Yeah, right.
90, like late night, early 2000s.
Dude, I think because I remembered that strikes a memory, and I remember seeing Fabio on one of those shows. I just thought he was. I remember, and this is so mean to say, but when the goose hit his face or whatever on the roller coaster, I don't know.
It looked like
he ran into a bird on a roller coaster. Like, how does that happen, dude? Like, God is working in mysterious ways, my friend.
I don't think
he ran into the ass of a bird or something while he was. Didn't see that coming. Didn't pay that e-ticket.
Yeah. I listen.
Butt to the face.
He was not a nice character, but hey, for me, what it did is it set me up for being on all the talk shows
for sure.
So,
dude,
that's
incredible, bro. Yeah, that was a good TV show. back in the day too. I don't know if you ever saw that one, but anyway,
What show?
That's another side salad for another day, I think.
A side salad. Yeah. So
that's
guys,
I had an Aussie friend that I used to record with, and yeah, that's what she used to always call when I'd go off on tangents, is the side salad.
Side salad.
That's pretty cool.
I like that.
Yeah.
You guys, you got a little bit of Dan and Chris. You know what? Let me hear what you have to say. Dan, on a very serious note with the Flexies, I do want to discuss something.
Sure, go. Yeah.
Yeah, we have a great time, and joke around, and people go, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? I'm gonna tell you why I do this. Last night, I was sitting there and I got a comment. Literally, somebody had seen a testimonial of mine. You should see it, Dan. I think I did it last week or something. And he commented, his name is Chase T. So Chase, I'm giving you a shout out, brother. I love you. I gave you my telephone number. You have my number. You can call me anytime. I would love to talk to you. If you'd love to come on the podcast and tell your story, I don't even have to show your face. We can do however you want. If you just want to talk to me. But why it really tugs at my heartstrings, Dan, is the reply was, this saved my life.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Wow.
I don't know, obviously with a reply like that, he obviously might have been, thinking or contemplating or had thoughts and saw me and heard me and was like, I'm not going to do it. So I reached out to him immediately.
That's awesome.
Replied, gave him my number, told him I loved him. Love to talk to him. Don't know if he has given his life to the Lord. Love to do that with him, a salvation prayer. But that's why I do that, is the eternal lives. And Dan, you're the same way. So guys, love to hear your comments. Let me know, hey, I want Dan on once a week, once a month, whatever.
Never again. I mean, hopefully not, but we'll see.
Every hour on the hour.
That guy's not serious enough. He tells too many jokes. I don't like him. He's too happy.
But I could imagine, because I could see what the replies, and I know what they're going to say. Dan, it has been more than a blast.
Dude,
it has,
yes, thank you.
I mean, when I talk about effortlessly, this was so much fun. I could see us doing this once a week, once a month.
Yeah, I love it. I love that idea for sure. And it was just funny because when you and I talked, I mean, that was I think you got the same vibe. It's just like, dude, we just effortlessly talk. This is very cool. It's yeah, it was very fun.
And for podcasters, there's so many of us, and there's so many different personalities. I love people that have their own, like look what you brought up tonight. Like I would have never brought those things up, so there are those truths now that, everybody's gonna, hear and see. But I always end with a prayer, Dan. If you want to stick by, you're welcome to.
Should I take my hat off? Is that probably
no, leave your hat on. Okay. But there's somebody out there that I'm talking to. There might be a Chase T out there tonight. Maybe that you're sitting there and maybe, look, this has been a tough year and a half. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to say it's been easy. I'm not going to say it's been normal, and maybe, maybe you don't have anybody to talk to. Maybe you've been so isolated. Pick up the phone and call me. You can go on flexthetruth.com. I get those. It goes right to me. You're registered with me. Give me your telephone number. I will call you immediately. Love to talk to you. Love to, see what's going on in your pretty little heads. And more importantly, in your hearts. But I feel like I'm talking to somebody out there tonight where, they just saw me and Dan. They're like, man, they're so vivacious. They're full of life. I want to be like that. Why are they like that? Here's what I'm going to tell you. Because we have God in the center of our life. And so we're after eternal lives. And we're not about, Dan made a joke about, signing autographs. He doesn't even know how to do it. For me, it's not about being famous. I was already famous a couple of times. I want to make God famous. And how do I make God famous? Is by talking about the word of God, by doing his will, by doing his work, but speaking his words boldly, like Dan spoke. And so you might be sitting there saying, well, how do I give my life? How do I give my life to Christ? I want to give my life to Christ. I want my life to change right now. I'm not happy with my life right now. I know it could be better. I know I can be a better version of me. Just raise your hand and just say this out loud with me. Lord, Father, I take you in as my Savior, as my Father, as my everything, as my I am. You're everything good. I denounce Satan. I want the sins up until today to be washed away in the blood of Jesus Christ underneath the altar. I repent all my sins. I'm so sorry. I ask you into my heart. I know I'm a child of God and I'm heaven bound. Congratulations. If you said that out loud to me, you are now born again. Now, what's the next step? Because even though you did that, that's just the beginning. 17 years I've been saved. The last year I found Jesus Christ. The last year. Why? Because I was too egotistical. I had resentment towards people. I had haters that I wished the worst. I had people I didn't clap for. I had jealousy. I had what else is there? I can't think of the other thing. Anyway, but for me,
you labeled a lot of good stuff there.
Yeah, jealousy, but and envy. That's it, jealousy and envy, because they usually go together. I had to get rid of all of that. I had to give it up to God and say, you know what? This is too big for me. You need to handle this. I don't like the person I am. And boom, I go to church one day. I feel the Holy Spirit in me. And the love that I felt has turned me into baby Trump, how I love on people. When people see me, they immediately they do the hug here. I mean, I did that in Hughstown. There were so many people that remembered it from Gettysburg. It was awesome to hear people say, you're hugging the wrong way. You know, I had it down.
Is there a right or a wrong way to hug? I didn't. Oh, you mean like the left and right? Yeah.
So
you come in from the other angle?
Yep. You go hard, nice. Go hard.
Oh, he messes with people. I like that though. That's good.
Yeah. And this weekend when I spoke, I asked a gentleman to come and he had Down syndrome. And it was beautiful. When I hugged him, he cried. And I asked him to roar like a lion because he couldn't say his name, and he roared like a lion. So that was pretty cool.
Dude, that's super cool.
You know, that's the touching part of this, business. But
and by the way, that was the coolest part of going to that event where we were at. I mean, it was just getting to meet. I mean, I wasn't like an A celeb or anything, but the people that recognized me, and a lot of it was the voice too, which is what cracked me up the most. They're like, because I'm always tiny on my screen, but they're like, dude, I heard the voice. I totally knew it was you. That's funny. So yeah, it was just,
again,
it was a neat
you're
experience.
So, you're unforgettable. Yeah, I remember Simon Cowell saying something, even though he's Illuminati and he's evil, but I remember him saying something the very first time I saw him in American Idol. And a lot of people thought he was a jerk. I thought he was right on. I thought he was right on Rain. I thought he was raw and truthful. That's how I am. But he said something. And so did Leonardo DiCaprio. They said, make yourself memorable.
Yeah.
Make yourself memorable where people will remember you no matter what. And being different and knowing whose you are, not who you are. First, you have to find out who you are, right? Once you find out who you are, now you find out whose you are. Once you find out whose you are, now you become worthy. Now you have worth, right? Yeah. And now you know you're a miracle.
Gives you purpose. Living with purpose is very interesting.
Yeah, it took me, up until the last 2 years, I didn't even know what my purpose was, and now I do. And now I'm getting into, into child trafficking and rescuing kids, and but that's my purpose, right? But how do you do that? You flex your mind, you flex your muscles. I always say, flex your mind, flex your muscles, flex the truth. Once you flex your mind, your muscles, and the truth, you're aligned with God. Believe it or not, all three have to be aligned: your mind, your muscles, and your muscles are your body. And the truth is from your soul.
The
And
truth
so
is a
once
very
you have-
interesting thing. Like a lot of people, the seeking of the truth. Some people seek to find evidence of something, or they seek to find a way to disprove somebody's thing. But really, what we should do is seek the truth. Whatever the truth actually is what we should shoot towards, because that's ultimately what matters.
Yeah,
Not
and
all this opinions of truth or perspectives of truth.
I love that, Dan. And I always say the truth has no feelings, no emotions, and no conscience.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
the truth is? True. That's it.
It stands on its own. Yeah. It's a beacon of
True.
light in the middle of darkness. It's a lighthouse on that shore during a storm.
Yes,
It's a friggin' porch light for a moth in the middle of the night.
it is.
I bet that's an oasis
Exactly.
like nobody's.
No, it's a beacon of light. You're absolutely right. Where people make bad choices, Dan, and really their lives go disarray is when they live in the gray. See, if you take
Yeah.
black and you take white and you put black and white together, what color do you get?
Yeah. Gray. Shades of
Look at
gray,
my
depending
hair.
on how much of each you got.
Look at my hair. You get gray, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's black or it's white.
White.
You're
Kind of feel like we're going
either-
full circle back to Michael Jackson almost, right? Good song.
Yeah. Look,
Good
you're
song.
serving God or you're serving the devil. You cannot.
And I think a lot of people are like, choose sides, or you need to know what side you're on. And that's, I think, really what it comes down to. And yeah, I mean, we gotta cut this, but yeah, we need to do more for sure. I hope your listeners and viewers liked what I hope we get some positive comments.
Oh,
I'm
they
looking
love
forward
you
to that.
already. I could see already what they're gonna say.
Oh,
Again, it's been an honor. It's been a pleasure.
Likewise.
Thank you
Likewise.
so much, brother.
Yeah, dude, we got to do this again, Chris. I'm looking forward to it, buddy.
Yeah.
And hey, I'm really into working out too, by the way. I may not be nearly as gnarly and huge as you, but I look good. I look pretty good right now. I'm not bad.
And how can people find you?
Oh, yeah. Rumble, BitChute, probably the two best on the Fringe. One word, very simple. You'll find me. And yeah, I'm going to keep rocking and rolling. And then on there, I've got a banner ad that shows all the other places. But yeah, get to me on Rumble or BitChute. Check out my videos. It's good times.
Love you, man. I'm going to say, man, we're going to be good friends. We're going to do a lot of
For
good
sure.
things together. Guys, remember, you're worthy. You're a miracle. Don't let anybody ever tell you otherwise. I'll see you tomorrow night. Bless up.
Perfect.